and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. Coming to you live from Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Steve. Welcome on board your live African safari. Hello everybody and good afternoon. Welcome on board once again. It is a lovely afternoon here. The rain has cleared. We've had 2 days of solid rain. It is spring in the air. The birds and the animals are very, very happy, and we are out and about and hoping to find you some of our wonderful animals who are probably quite happy that the rain has stopped. My name is Steve. Hello everybody, joined by Theo Island Style on camera, and as always, I'm very excited to have you on board our vehicle. Now, we're going to continue on. This afternoon, we're looking for some tracks, animals that have been moving in the rain, and let's see what we can find. Don't forget, we are live and interactive. We'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Wild Earth. Throw them in on the YouTube chat stream or Twitch if it's your preferred medium. And kids' questions send them to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. It is 19 degrees Celsius. It's still a little bit overcast, but the cloud has lifted, which is very good. Spring day yesterday has arrived with the rain. We're going to be looking for some signs of spring. We were with some tracks just before of a pride of lions that was around here last night hunting and early this morning. And the tracks have gone into the north. A pride called the Talamati Pride. I've never seen them on quarantine, this open area we have here just by camp. So that would be nice to see, but they've gone back over to where they normally hang out. So after the rain, for the first few hours at least, it can be quite interesting, the tracking, because the animals are walking on the soft sand, they leave a nice imprint, but as soon as the sun comes out, it then bakes the ground, and then everywhere we look, the ground becomes very hard. It makes tracking a lot more difficult. A lot more difficult. So we're going to just be bumbling around, seeing if we can pick up on any tracks and any signs of spring.
Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Untitled Private Game Reserve. You've got here just in time. Look at this hippo trudging back into the water after basking out on that bank for a little while. My name is Damon, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and Craig and I are going to be exploring the southern parts of Ambient Pindo today to go in search of a pride of lions with 5 relatively young cubs that were seen not too far from here a little bit earlier this morning. But we're going to start our afternoon here at this waterhole, just because these hippos have just stood up and they've started to walk into the water. There's a couple that are still out on the bank. And if you're able to hear those grunting calls that they were making there, such a lovely sound. Look at that one going into the water. Moving in quite quickly. And it being quite a chilly morning here this morning, these hippos would have probably wanted to get out the water just to warm up a little bit in the air. There's no sunshine to speak of, unfortunately for them. But it looks like now most of them have started to move back into the water. There's also a plethora of birds around here, everyone. And I'm just going to ask Craig just to zoom into the little kind of finger of land that juts out there into the water. Most unusually, I think, is that white bird that you might be able to see standing there with its head submerged in the foreground. So at the back of the island now walking, there's a yellow-billed stork, but in the foreground there's a greater flamingo. It's busy feeding. Look at how it's using its bill to sift through the water there. And every now and then lifting its head up. Also see just behind it there are some white-breasted cormorants. flying in, and a grey heron. Yeah, not often that we get to see flamingos in this area. We are not far at all from Lake St. Lucia, which is out to our east. And there at the moment there are massive flocks of these greater flamingos mixed in with many, many lesser flamingos as well. And they've moved into this area to come and take advantage of the food resources there. But obviously this one, for some reason, came down and alighted here in this waterhole and hasn't left. But we're not complaining. It makes for fantastic bird watching, getting to see this flamingo here. And not something we get to see very often on. Apparently a lot of people are very surprised that we've got flamingos here, and yes, we do. Like I said, we've got two different species, the greater and the lesser flamingo. It's not often that, like I said, not often that we get to see them here. They tend to congregate in large numbers in much more or in much bigger bodies of water. Like Lake St. Lucia, of course, lots of shallow flats for them to walk across and feed. Very peaceful scene with the sounds of the hippos in the background as they breathe out. And I think Craig and I are going to sit here for a bit longer just to see if we can find any other interesting birds and watch what these hippos do. And then a little bit later we'll head off in search of those lions.
Welcome back to Djuma, everybody. Flamingos. I was quite impressed. I would love to see some flamingos, but we have found steenbok. There is a pair of steenbok here. The other one has just disappeared behind the bush. Here's the male. Very beautiful antelope, aren't they? Easy to identify male versus female, because the male's got the horns. But that little mouth makes their feeding very selective. Very, very selective feeding. So after these rains, the little bits of grass will be shooting. Forbs will be coming out as well. And the steenbok will be maximizing and only eating the best quality vegetation. They go through sort of bouts of 20 minutes feeding, 20 minutes sitting down and chewing the cud. And that is pretty much how their day goes. 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So small mouth parts make for very, very selective feeding. And with a small body like the steenbok has, they can't afford to eat any bulk food. It's all going to be very high quality. Linda, it looks like a fairy tale creature, you say? I suppose. You're now hidden behind the fairy tale bush. You can basically see the movement of a second one there. Okay. If they don't move, everybody, they are very camouflaged. Their strategy for evading predation is to stand very, very still. And then they can run off a short distance and then stand very still once again.
Craig and I have been sitting here watching these hippos, and we said we were going to wait to see if anything interesting or anything else interesting developed. And already we've got some new animals coming down to drink. Look at these two waterbuck, the mother on the left and then her little calf on the right. And look at how shaggy its coat is, that very typical characteristic waterbuck coat, very long and shaggy hair. And look at how vigilant the mother is. Busy scanning around. It is an adorable little creature. It is a little baby waterbuck. How fluffy it is. Looks like I suppose like a teddy bear. And just busy scanning around, making sure that there's no potential danger here. Of course, with it being the drier times of years, big predators like lions will often lie in wait around these waterholes. And this mother waterbuck is just making sure that there's nothing potentially dangerous here for her or her youngster. And once she's sure, then I'm sure she'll make her way down to the water and they'll start to drink. So these waterbuck don't seem like they are ready to come and drink just yet. Look at how that mother is still staring in our direction. Now, I don't know if there's maybe something at the bottom of the hill that she's looking at, or if it's just us being parked up on this hillside that's maybe just aroused her suspicions a little bit. But she'll want to take her time just to make 100% sure that there's no danger here before she starts to move down. Oh, and while we're watching the waterbuck, there's some wildebeest coming down to drink on the other side of the waterhole. Let's zoom out. There we go. Look at that little group of wildebeest coming down. Also being quite suspicious. Look at that front run, how it stopped and busy looking around, making sure that there's nothing dangerous here. But see, being a little bit less cautious than the waterbuck. Oh, no, it stopped again to look around. Those long tails, how they swish from side to side, waving the flies away. And it's almost like they're following that lead wildebeest. As long as it walks, they all follow. Just going behind that bush over there. And again stopping to take in its surroundings. Coming down to the water now. And look at how these wildebeest now have come down to the water in addition to the waterbuck, coming down to drink out of this waterhole here. Look at them flooding down to drink. Now, just like up in the Masai Mara, there are a couple of pretty large crocodiles that we've seen in this waterhole, and I haven't been able to see where they are at the moment. But no doubt those wildebeest will have to be quite wary, because there is one in particular that I've seen in this waterhole that is definitely big enough and strong enough to catch one of those wildebeest. But amazing to see how, compared to the waterbuck, how kind of, well, they've been far less cautious than the waterbuck. The waterbuck are still standing here, still busy looking around, busy smelling, busy listening. They haven't come down to drink it, whereas the wildebeest just came running straight in. And now they seem to be chasing each other around there a little bit. I think Craig and I are probably going to leave the waterhole soon. And like I said, we're going to go off in search of where that pride of lions has gone.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're at Djuma this afternoon. It's pretty cloudy still, but it's not much as windy as it was for the last couple of days. And we got some beautiful hippo just lying outside of the water. Looks like it's one of the female also. A young female standing right there. And oxpecker the bird as well. I presume the mother still lying right inside in there. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew, BK, behind the camera. So we'll be checking this hippo out, see how far they will be doing for us. This seems like they're going to be doing anything right now. So this is what they do during the day, most especially when it's cloudy. So they do come out of the water. This is what they carry sometimes, or terrapin likes anything that got inside the water, as well as can be warthog, buffaloes. They love doing that because sometimes they can be also omnivores as well. They can eat ticks. They can, make their wound bigger on animals. Whoever got inside the waterhole with the injured, and they will be dealing with that open a wound. Even make it bigger sometimes because they can pick on a red flesh, also search for ticks. They can groom animals around. These animals, sometimes you find them lying inside the water. They don't have any wound or anything. Tina, yes. The question you want to know whether they're hippo skin sensitive. It is sensitive, very sensitive, most especially sensitive to the heat. They have a very thicker layer of skin, but it's sensitive to the sun. It's good when a hippo, they stay in the water or outside of the water, but then not for longer. And they always be in contact with the water immediately when they need to. But of course, seeing hippo suffering from dry, it's painful, because, all you see around this coat, it looks like somebody went with an axe or so, trying to cut this such a thick skin, but then it's caused by the dryness. So yes, it is sensitive to the light. Doesn't really, most especially during the day, produce a moisturous, and then the dew only when it come out. The little water come out of the skin, but otherwise they run out of those when they don't return back to the water. So this is what now caused the crack on their skin. So we will carry on, look around, see if we find anything. For now, we're gonna leave these two creatures lying outside of the water, right on the bank.
Good afternoon from a blustery yet beautiful day out here at Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. It is wonderful having you with us. David on camera, and I'm Dylan. Those of you who haven't met us, we're just going to try explore this area and just see what we can find for you this afternoon. Forgive us if we are in and out of signal a little bit. This area that we're operating in now, we have always had very, very good signal here, so we've got some little issues up and down with it. David has got all the spare parts. He'll be installing those for us tomorrow, so that'll be some trips up and down a mountain for him. But be that as it may, we are here to just share this incredible environment with you all. And I would really, really like you to engage with us. Ask us the questions that you want to ask about the ecology of these areas, or specific animals or plants, whatever it is. It's just fun being out. We actually had some rain last night. Okay, let me put that in perspective. I think we had like 9 or 11 inches of rain. That's inches between the drops. It was next to nothing. But it's still the first real precipitation of the season. And in terms of the vegetation, I mean, you can see there's some greenery on the trees. But no, these clouds are magnificent, and they are moving so fast. They've been pushing in from the north. So whoever is sitting up north pushing the clouds this way, thank you very much. We need every drop of rain that we can get. But remember, it's not just about actual precipitation. A day like today, okay, maybe the wind is a little bit blustery, but a day like today, even if you get a bit of solid cloud cover, it still reduces the evapotranspiration on the vegetation that is actually still green in that. So it actually can conserve moisture, even though you're not getting rain filtering into the ground. So an overcast day like today is actually incredibly valuable, and it's very, very important for the vegetation out here. So anyway, we're going to carry on ambling down. We're going to go past a little pan, and maybe we'll be lucky and find something down that way.
Jambo Jambo, hello, and welcome to another part of the Mara where we got very clear clouds, unlike Tswalu, which looks like they might get some rains later in the afternoon. And very nice to have all of you on board. My name is David, and with me this afternoon is Bungay. Bungay, how are you doing? And we got a lot for you. Now, where I am, I just stopped here because when I look, stuff I'm seeing is just wonderful. It looks like a painting to me. And I want to ask you a question, whether you'll agree with me or not, because I have all this world for you. Just look at that beauty. Perfect temperatures, perfect light, and I'm saying jumbo to all of you, and a very good afternoon, because it's our good afternoon here, and it's about 20 minutes past 1600 hours or past 4 p.m. An elephant there that was having a quick drink. Then it stopped. It stopped. Now here I got buffaloes, I got elephants, I got trees, the banana trees, I got birds on top of the trees, and not sure whether Christmas is already here, and these egrets are trying to beautify that tree, and those are what we call the cattle egrets. They could be having a rest, but basically they are here because of the buffaloes. The buffaloes are having a rest, are not moving, and that also applies to these egrets. Once the buffaloes stop ruminating, stand up, start feeding, start moving through the grass, the egrets will follow suit and will come down and start catching, all the insect they get. See how close they stay? See how they chew the cud. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, we are coming to you live from the Masai Mara.
Coming to us. So we're having a look at lions trying to catch a buffalo here at Ambion Ngala. So you'll notice what the lions are doing is they're trying to jump on the buffalo's back, but of course with the buffalo positioning its horns towards the lions, it makes it difficult for the lions to take down the buffalo. They're trying to take it down from the back. But let's just spend some time and listen. You can see that buffalo, like the biggest thing is now this buffalo can't really move around, because if it moves around then these lions are going to jump on top of this buffalo. You can see the one female is now just lie down in the grass. It's an amazing sighting. So as we basically early on we were tracking these lions, and the buffalo started moving across over this dry riverbed. But look, as that buffalo is turning, that lioness is slowly always making her way closer and closer. So what she's trying to do is move him away so that that male can jump on that buffalo's back. But this is incredible to watch. So have a look at the lioness. It's just off to the right. Now they've cornered this buffalo, and the buffalo can't really run away, because as soon as it tries to run away, that lioness wants to go and jump on top of its back. But now we'll see, because initially they had a lot more energy trying to get closer to this buffalo, but it looks like they've slowly... No, I take the maneuver away around. Looks like this buffalo is going to chase these lions, but every time the buffalo turns around, the lioness makes her way closer. Now imagine how careful they have to be, because with this buffalo, it nearly weighs a ton, sharp horns. So any mistake from these lions could mean their death. But of course, with this buffalo, there's two big lions here, which could potentially take down this buffalo. She might just draw closer towards the sand, because then it'll be easier for her to try and maneuver around this buffalo. But let's just watch. I agree with all our viewers. This is absolutely incredible to watch. Look at her. See how she's crouching down, resting him now. The male is maneuvering around at the moment. Look at her. All she's waiting for is a gap because she knows she needs to move in from the back. Well, see, this is now becoming a patient game because one slight wrong move from this buffalo could cost its life, and one wrong move from these lions could cost their lives. She might just lose interest, or she's trying to maneuver around. Oh, you can see there's a bit of blood on that buffalo's back quarters. That's probably from when the male jumped on him earlier. I saw the female maneuvering behind the buffalo at the moment. Let's just keep a good lookout and see what happens. See, the male's also trying to move around. Sky, in the thick bushes like this, I would say the buffalo's probably at an advantage because at least if it moves into a dense area, it's hard for the lions to get hold of it. You can see now the buffalo's just using a bit of cover. Looks like they've lost some interest. The female's now moving, and both the female and the male are now moving. Wonder if the female's not in estrus, and that's probably why the male has lost interest and he's now rather following the female. Buffalo's moving off, but she probably might want to give it another go at the buffalo. Buffalo might have just ran off now. Because I'm trying to see if we can see that male again. But what I might do is let me just move slightly back so we can have a look through that window there at that female. So let me move back. Just bear with us if it is a bit shaky. Oh, the buffalo is at the top there, moving. Hold on. I'm going to stop like this so you can just see on the top of this ridge. You might notice the lioness just staring. I don't know where the male is, if he decided to pursue that buffalo. But that the female's trying to hunt, and of course the male has other things on his mind. But it looks to me now, she probably said to him like he didn't even want to hunt, and now he's trying to move around towards the buffalo, because I can't see him, I can only see the female. But it won't be long before he eventually comes and joins up with the female again. There he is. And I thought he might have even chased the buffalo. And doesn't look like it. She's just gone and lied down in the tall grass. Again, at the moment, it looks like these two have separated from the rest of the pride. So these lions are part of the Birmingham pride, but it doesn't look like there's any of the others. It's only the tracks of these two, so it might be that this male and female are mating at the moment, and that's why they've separated from the pride. are both gone and just lie down in the tall grass. What we can potentially do is try and see if we can get a different angle to view them from. But unless they stand up, it's going to be really hard to see them in the tall grass. But how incredible is that? Just to be able to see that whole interaction and see how they jump on top of the buffalo's back, and eventually how that buffalo maneuvered its way around until it felt safe enough to move away. But I haven't even introduced myself, so I'm Nikki here at Beyond Ngala. I'm going to be a ranger for this afternoon, and with me on the camera is Gert. And from here on, we're going to try and see if we can get another glimpse of these lions. Oh, the female's gotten up now, and she's on her way down towards the river again.
Beautiful from lions hunting buffaloes. Here we got a beautiful male giraffe right in the middle of the thicket. It looks like a beautiful big male giraffe, but the bushes, it's too much, so we're just going to try get through as much as we could. There's a lot of bushes behind there. So male giraffe that tend to move around on their own can be sometimes joined by a lot of different young males. It's not a problem. They're not really strictly territorial. And then they only work with the dominant males, who's stronger, who's dominant, to able to always approach the female if it's the chance female around. The dominant male, he's a chance to do that. They do fight for a dominant for sure. When you see them do that, they just look like they're playing, but of course it causes serious hurts on their neck. So bees are feeding in its dry leaves, of course. We're going to leave them be. Just keep searching around here for possibly anything else we might find.
How incredible is it? These lions decided to come and lie down here in the river. Look at the smell. Oh, he's just, looks like he's just scraping the soil away there. And moving slightly closer to the female. This is a very interesting behavior. Just notice the difference in color between these two. You'll see the male is a lot darker and a bit more gray in comparison to the female lying down at the back. A lot more white and more brown. Now, as we mentioned earlier, I think this male definitely has something else on his brain rather than taking down a buffalo. So it is a good chance that these two are mating, because did you see when they were moving down how closely he stayed to this female? And it does look like it's one of those Ross males, but the one with the darker colored mane. And I wonder if the lighter colored one, if he's with the rest of the pride at the moment. Now, if they are mating, it will be interesting to know if this is the same two that were mating the other day? And if it is, how long are they still going to be mating for? Or is it maybe a different lioness that he is mating with at the moment? Because often if they do mate, the intervals could vary anywhere from maybe every 15 to 20 minutes for the next 2, maybe 3 days. So it'll be interesting to see. Often towards the end of those 3 days, the intervals become longer and longer in between. Just looking at the tail of this male, have you noticed that, especially the tassel at the end, that it is a lot smaller in comparison to the female lying down in the back? Now, the male is a lot bigger. He weighs at least 40 kilograms and more, or probably a bit more than that female. So that female probably be around 150, maybe 140 kilograms, and this male probably around 200, if not more. And just look at this, the difference in the tails. And it's only once you get towards the head, the neck, and the shoulders where you can really see the big difference between the two. Now, often if you do track lions and you are driving in an area where the grass is quite tall, you'll sometimes look out for that flick of the tail. So you'll just notice as that tail's flicking to get rid of those flies, you'll be able to pick up that movement.
Thanks, Nikki. How exciting. From your felines to a female kudu who, like us, is also looking for signs of spring. She is trying to find some food. She's thinking it's rained for 2 days. Where are all the new shoots? It's going to be bursting to life shortly. Seeds that are in the soil are going to be germinating. Flowers budding, leaves pushing forth from the grasses that have been dormant, as well as the trees. And that's what the kudu is thoroughly looking forward to. But for those of you who have been watching the show for some time will remember this time last year how poor condition the kudu were. We had very, very poor rain last year. There was almost no water. There was no leaves on the trees as early as June already. Whereas this time of year, already in September, we had leaves all the way through, watering holes still bursting with life. And the kudu looking a very, very good condition. Last year they were very skinny, very scrawny. A lot of them had mange. But this lady here is looking in fine, fine condition. They have overcome the dry season. And now life is returning to the savannas. Isn't she camouflaged? When you see her like that, you wouldn't know she was there if she wasn't moving. We spotted her because she was in the open initially. Perfect habitat, perfect form of energy saving camouflage. Hello, Rosalind. You want to know how long kudus live for? Obviously, it depends on if they get caught by lions or not. But on average, to sort of the early teens. So 10, 12 maybe, somewhere around there. Obviously, in captivity, they can probably live for a bit longer, as do most animals. But out here, there's lots and lots of dangers. Now, they've also got to make sure that they maintain condition. And predators are always selectively removing animals from the population, often the weak, the old, and the infirm. But anywhere around sort of 10, 12 years of age, I would say. And there we go. She's doing what she does best, vanishing into the thickets.
Well, apparently in the Masai Mara, we do not have kudus. And I do not know how the ecosystem would be if we have the kudus here. Sorry, there was just another vehicle was passing there, or rather a tractor that they fixed the roads. So the ecosystem could be different because kudus are mainly browsers. Now, we got nothing comparing to kudu in terms of size because we got the Thompson gazelles, which normally prefer the very short grass, being more of grazers, and we all know kudus are browsers. But we got three different species of antelopes here. We have the Thompson gazelles that we just saw. In the middle there, we've got a little bigger one. That's an impala. We all know it's an impala. And of course, a male with the horns, and two of them. Let's see how close they're eating together. But impalas are mixed feeders. They'll be eating grass like this. And once in a while, you'll also see them eating some vegetation. I think I saw a topi somewhere. Let's see if Bungay will show us the topi. And yeah. And that's a very beautiful sight to have all these animals together. You can see how busy the topi is, chewing the cud. Just like the buffaloes we saw earlier. In general, the Thompson gazelles will prefer very short grass where they can see themselves because they're not very tall animals. And this once in a while translates to very good countryside for cheetahs. Very peaceful where we are. And you can tell these animals don't look bothered by anything. Just feeding and feeding. You're talking about the height of the Thompson gazelles. Now, we're just very lucky to see them in such an open area. And we'll show you them. Bunga will show you again the Tommies. And just compare the height of that Tommy and the impala next to it. Now, both males and females of the Thompson gazelles will have horns. But look at the impala. The females will not have the horns, and they got very huge horns. I'm not sure that baby wanted to have a little bit of milk, and then the mother changed her mind. Very small horns the females will have. We'll just wait and see if she is going to allow the baby to have a bit of milk before I move on.
So the male just moved in behind the female. And we thought maybe he'll go and try and mate with her, but I can see she's showed them quite a bit of teeth. And be interesting to know, like, maybe they have mated for quite a while and now they're getting towards the end of it, but we'll just have to spend some more time here and have a look and see what happens. Nisa, it could be all year round. It's whenever a female, especially like if one had cubs and they like after having cubs up to 2.5 years after that, they'll be ready to mate again. So they'll go into estrus, and then of course, whenever she's ready to go, then the males will join up. But it could be any time of the year. There's no specific time that they do or that they would mate. But if you look at that male's face, there's just so many scars on that face. It just tells you all the battles that he's probably been in. But also when lions do mate, sometimes it can be quite an intimidating scene, especially because as soon as they finish mating, you often find that the female might even claw that male. But it is a beautiful scene. I mean, we're sitting in the dry riverbed here. It's overcast weather. Normally on warm days you'll find that lions would move into quite dense areas to lie down in the shade. But for us to have them in the open like this is really special.
Craig and I have managed to find 2 white rhinos, everyone. Have a look down there in this burnt patch of felt. Look at them standing. Ears swiveling, just listening. And have a close look at that one that's closest, or the one that's closest to us. Everybody, look at its belly. Can you all see there's like a little dark smudge there on its tummy, where it's no doubt been lying on a patch of burnt grass, and it's taken on the charcoal color onto its body. And often after these fires have been through, the animals lie down or roll around in the ash, or in the little burnt patches, and they take on either a whitish color from the ash or a dark color from the burnt grass. And look at how these 2 rhinos are now starting to move slowly through this little burnt area, heading up the hillside. Now, just looking from a distance, looking at these 2 rhinos, neither of them looks to be fully grown. So it looks like 2 relatively young white rhinos. And it's probably, the one on the right is definitely a bull. I was able to get a good look. And the one on the left, I haven't been able to see just yet. But because of the size, tells us, as I said, that they're relatively young rhinos. And just spending time together, being quite gregarious animals, they form this little partnership. They'll move around together as a little pair. But now taking their time. They had initially crossed this clearing quite quickly. There's a body of water off to the right, and it's one of the only kind of water sources in this area. And now with it getting later in the afternoon, this is the time of day, this time of year, when white rhinos will often go and drink. So I wonder if they're heading down to the water to quench their thirst. So far as yet, though, no sign of this pride of lions that Craig and I are searching for. We're going to leave these rhinos go and check through a few more areas.
It's quite precious also to see a rhino, but maybe lions much later on could be better. Now, I'm looking at some mungus here, and these are the striped or the banded mungus. And definitely feeding, digging something there with the sharp claws. They do remind me of the meerkats that you'd see in Tswalu and the Kalahari. Related, more or less, subfamily of the mungus, and I'm not sure there's a drongos there, and I don't know what the drongos could be doing. And I expected the drongos to alarm call, but I don't think they would alarm call for the mungus. Everybody loves mungus. I am, also in love with them, because more often than not, when you see them, the moment you stop the vehicle, they take off. Now, one commonality of those mungus and the meerkats is how they behave in terms of breeding or reproduction or feeding. They are always very fast, quick, eat very quickly, move, stop, look around, go down very quickly. They have that one commonality with the meerkats. And when they stand up, if you look at them from a very long distance, you'll always confuse them for the meerkats, which apparently we do not have here in the Masai Mara. So any tubers they would get, roots from the grass, insects they could catch for themselves. Very social mongoose, always going in big groups. But this was a group of about 10, 15 when I got here. I'm not sure what those drongos are after there. They keep flying over there. Maybe they know they're disturbing some insect, those mongoose, and they're catching them. All right, bon appetit. Mongoose, see what exactly how they're doing. I would guess that's what they're doing. Well, see you later, mongoose.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I have a beautiful, beautiful little bird here. It's a wattled plover, and it's busy eating some little creepy crawlies in the water there. Wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James, and I'm already here at the swamp, to show you some few beautiful things that we have to share. And to start with, I have this beautiful bird. Very interesting thin legs, but believe me, the bones are very, very strong, capable of supporting that big body. It is a wattled lapwing. Those wattles grow longer when they are breeding, like right now. Looks like they're coming into season. Looks like there is a lot of little, crustaceans there that it's feeding on, and insects, so it's very busy eating lots of things. I don't know where its mate is. Usually they're in a pair. I assume she is sitting on eggs, and while he is feeding, so that he can go and take time to sit on the eggs while the female comes and feeds. These are just but a few things that are around here. And behind here is a pile or a herd of buffalo. Looks like they're enjoying the evening sun. It's a beautiful area to be in, full of water. So they've been wallowing in the water, and now they're just resting there. There is one individual particularly that looks very, 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 very old. I'll share that with you in a moment, but these guys have already gotten inquisitive with my presence here, and they're looking and listening at my voice. Remember, their senses are very good, and they use them to detect danger. James, I don't know if you see the guy. Could you see him over there? He's got a bit of character. Maybe you should share and see how an old buffalo looks like sometimes. That is the look. She's lived, imagine that is a male. It's a male buffalo, but looks like it's on its last legs. Yeah, I'll stay here with him and talk to him. He can tell me more about his life.
A shame. The most miserable buffalo in the whole wide world. We've come back to Djuma, everybody, in South Africa, where we've got a female elephant and her calf. And elephants they don't really need to wait for the spring, because she's just destroying a plant to get at the roots. Makes it a bit easier after the rain. The youngsters are right there learning how to do it. Makes it much easier after the rain because the ground is a bit softer. You'll find lots of digging this time. This time of year they dig a lot anyway. But she's trying to use her foot to break the root. And her baby is there watching. See now, trying to do the same with his leg. And how does that work, Mum? Elephants have no lack for food. The dry season sees enormous amounts of disturbance. Everybody says they love elephants. I love them as well. Very relaxed female. There's some more elephants a little bit further away, but we haven't. They're just on the other side there. So we just got these two. There we go. Managed to get some of the root. You see the root is out the ground now. Now needs to break it. They often use their tusk to snap it. There we go. Very nice bit of leverage. If you've ever dug a plant out the garden, it's amazing when you use a pitchfork or something how a little bit of leverage can make life a whole lot easier. See how useful the tusks are. Cheetah, there's a potential for elephants to see in colour. I'm pretty sure that they do, but I'm not 100% sure whether they do see in full spectrum colour. Their eyesight, many people say, are quite similar to ours, so there definitely must be some form of colour to it. But their eyesight's not their primary source of doing things. They're definitely their smell and their hearing. But I think in daytime, elephants see equivalent to us. And then in the nighttime, they actually see a little bit better than we do. So there must be cone cells in the eyes. They don't have the same sort of tapetum lucidum you find in all the nocturnal animals, the reflection. So they don't actually have very good night vision, just like us. But they can navigate the night with the sense of smell. Oh, hello, Mum. Have you ever had that when you're doing something in the garden and your youngster just decides to get right involved, right where you're busy digging, or right where you're doing something, they want to be there? This youngster's done that. Lessons abounding every day. Now what we doing, Mum? What next? All of these lessons locked away in their very big memory bank. Some more digging. They can smell what they're looking for under the ground. And it is very, very special to spend time with elephants, as we've got this two female and a youngster feeding. We're going to be carrying on with the afternoon, so please do feel free to carry on with us on YouTube following on. It has been wonderful having you all with us this afternoon. Wonderful sightings coming to you from all of our wonderful locations. I do thank you for all of your questions, all of your comments. We'll be live on SABC again at the same time tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Please tune in. And as I said before, we'll be continuing on for the next couple of hours, so feel free to continue on. It has been wonderful having you with us this afternoon. From myself and everyone else, have a good afternoon.
So have a look at these two lions, like moved out of the river and eventually decided to come and lie down near this one game trail. Now, what's interesting though, is that earlier on they were actually moving from this area into the riverbed, did that little loop, and now they're moving slowly back. Now, I'm thinking eventually they'll probably join up with the pride. Now, from some of the reports that I heard is that the pride has moved off the reserve, but I'm not too sure how far they are, but some of the rangers estimate as far as possibly 20 kilometers away from where these ones are. But you never know, during the evening, maybe even early on this morning, if they started making their way back here to eventually join up. But how incredible is the colors of this particular male. So Emily, often with the males, they will fight with one another for mating rights. But often the brothers will share mating rights within a big pride. Now, what I've seen before from my experience is that with the two brothers, whoever is with the female first, will be more dominant and will fight off the other male, and vice versa. That is what I have seen before, and maybe that could have been the case here, where this female decided to leave or move away from the pride. This one joined, brother tried to probably keep up, and of course this one just chased this brother off, and as she was moving, he was just following her. Because it's only there, like they are the only two that we know of in this area. It might be because of the rain that we could have missed some of the other members of the pride. But it's also just a good chance, because they are mating, that they've moved away from the rest of the pride.
Good afternoon, everyone. Beautiful day at Djuma. Pretty much of cloud, but looks like they're all settling down, and the wind died down. So beautiful kudus feeding in this drainage line system, which looks like they're all enjoying themselves. Browsing instead of grazing right now. That's what they're doing in there. Hi all, my name is Andrew, BK, and BK on camera. This afternoon we're just going to be looking at these kudu, see what they're doing for us. Looks like they're all enjoying themselves, the kudu. And then looks like all different age in there. A lot of females and right inside here. That's all we've seen. And these two can still see how a lot of time they're the animals that are always slightly fluffy, you know, beautiful big ears as well. So they're very good hearing. Look at these ears. This is how they survive they're meant to be always in a thicket. Since they are browsers, they can take grass as well, but mainly browsing. So they look around for new shoots of leaves, dry leaves. They pick it up from the ground. Those have been dropped off since it's actually just the last season of a winter now. Summer's taking places. Look around their mouth, looks like they just drank milk. Difficult to see it now because indeed they're beautiful, and that's why oxpecker is also following them, since they're benefiting parasite out of this animal. Look at this red-billed oxpecker. That's what they do there. It's a clever bird. Usually doing that also, those are about to nest. They all remove some of the little of the fur on the animals as a nest material. So it works both sides. But helping the animal, cleaning their ticks, and also if there's anything approach, bird sees it and they'll fly off immediately, but give calls for that animal to know, oh, we're getting attacked. So it's work both ways. Look at that female there also. Looks like it's a beautiful, we're in a river here. So trees. Shelley, thanks for that questions. You want to know what the animals are most hunted by the predators. So, talking about the medium size, I will refer much impalas in that group, since impala, we'll even call them McDonald of the bush, just because of a medium size for most predators, as well as python and all of those small cats as well. But, you know, kudu, they're also in the same position of getting hunted by lions, leopard as well. So, and yeah, but, you know, impala, they're pretty much a medium size. So it fits on all different carnivorous species on those antelopes. Look at that female there. She won't come out of that yet, just because when I look around her, it looks like around her, it's a lot of new shoots, leaves that's just coming on. Not from this few rain that we have. I think it's been slightly green like that in this ravine here for the last couple of days. But the rain will make it even more beautiful for such a antelope like this. So it's cool in the river. So they're all just going to be wandering around here for browsing and take care of themselves for safety. We're going to leave them, move on, search for more animals.
Notice this female, how she's pricked her ears forward, listening out. Now, the wind is blowing from where she is towards us, so basically she's now lying down with her head facing into the wind. And it might be because this is a game trail, a well-used game trail, you'll notice the elephant dung just in front of the male lion, and you also notice quite a few tracks on that trail. Now, like a game trail or trail like that, oh, she's just gotten up. Might be that she eventually goes down that trail. But let's just see what happens here. It might be also, remember we said they are mating at the moment, that she could just move a little bit forward and then she go and lie down. I can hear them. I can just hear those lions mating at the moment. I don't know if you can't really hear the sound, but they've just moved behind those trees where we weren't able to see them. and we were waiting here the whole afternoon, but they can move quite far from, just with that very interesting question about how far they can move away from their pride. So, I mean, these ones have moved quite a bit, but it depends on the area, and depends on the lions that are in that area, as well as just the overall space. Now, these lions have moved pretty close to 20 kilometers away from where the rest of the pride, and eventually from there on they could join up. However, if they had to leave the pride and join another pride, so let's say there was a female that was kicked out, she could travel quite far, over 100 kilometers if she then joins up with another pride, could even be more. But for now, we're going to try and see if we can get another glimpse of these lions. So let's follow this game trail to where we last had them. So as I said, I could hear them mating, so most likely they are just going to be lying down somewhere. Yogesh, I'm not too sure. I'm from experience, or I don't even know if it will be experience, but I would probably reckon that every single individual will have a different scent towards, if you had to compare them against other male lions. So there they are. So you can see the females lying down, the males moved off to the back. But definitely it has to be, because I know one of the ways that lions can identify one another from other members of a pride is through scent. So I would say yes. They blend in so well. This female, other than the white between, like you'll see on her back legs all the way down to her back paws, if she didn't move and the grass was slightly taller, you would not be able to see her down there. Even that male, if he had to lie down a bit more in the shade with this overcast weather, it'd be really hard to see him. Because his mane, that patch of blonde color, bit of black, bit of brown around the legs, that white, really blends in so well. Just look at that. So just imagine the surprise an animal will get coming down that game trail. Now, game trail is just a route that animals will use on a regular basis to get from one area to another. And sometimes it is associated with water. But because the river's behind us, there's some areas where the elephants have dug for water, so animals will use this as a route to get from wherever they need to be to down to the water and back. And this is what's going to probably be here. They'll be around here for the next little while. And maybe there'll be these intervals every 20 minutes, 25 minutes, where they'll mate and eventually go and lie down again. Because you can see they're in no rush to head anywhere soon.
Hello everybody, welcome to our vehicle, welcome back to Djuma. We just had a grey-headed bush shrike there. Obviously, he's also gone behind the bush like the mating pair of lions. Obviously. Hello everybody, how are we doing today? In case we haven't met before, my name is Steve, joined by Theo Island Style on camera. We're going to check southern boundary, head off towards Twin Dams now. I heard Andrew had some tracks of a female leopard around Central and Drakensberg, so I might give him a hand. Sounds like it might be Tundi. Anyway, the birds were going crazy a moment ago, and now everything's gone very still. Okay, well, we're just going to spend a moment here, try to figure out what made the birds go so quiet.
Well, I do not think under any circumstances my bird is going to fly away, because ostriches do not fly. The other day in the morning, I was doing a drive and I saw a male ostrich, but today I'm very lucky to see a female. Not that they are not there, but I think sometimes they change locations depending on what they are feeding on. Those were the two females there, and then we have a male. We got two species of ostriches. Here in East Africa, we got this that we call the Maasai ostrich, and further north of Kenya, we got another type that we call the Somali ostrich. All of them have one commonality: they always go together, in big flocks. But the male we're going to show you now, it is in what I think is breeding plumage. Either he is coming into breeding plumage or he is just out of the breeding plumage, because there's a male here, and what I want us to look is the neck of the male, and you will notice it's a bit pinkish. And I'm not surprised that he got two females with him. And yeah, this is definitely a lot pink, and is the sign of breeding plumage. You always get one male, especially dominant male, when it comes to breeding. And should there be other males, there will just be subadult males which will not be allowed to mate with the females. Very majestic birds when they walk. And I'm sure all of you will agree with me. So watch a little bit and find out where they could be going.
Welcome back. We've caught up with our grey-headed bush shrike. also known as the spookvoël, or the ghost bird, because of its very ominous call that it does. They're quite predatory, very powerful beak, and he's playing very nicely with us, this fellow. They don't normally sit around like that. And the reason we actually stopped, there we go, get a bit of a yawn. I'll wait for him to move off, and then we'll show you the actual reason we stopped. We stopped because of a wonderful tree that's in flower, and he just decided he wanted me, here I am, and I was sitting so beautifully for us. Franklin is not happy. Goes the bushshrike. Now, there is the weeping boerbean at the back. It's in full flower at the moment. And always a wonderful tree to spend time with in flower, because it attracts an enormous amount of insects. And with it, an enormous amount of birds. There's actually a scarlet-chested sunbird in there, which I'm going to try get Theo to find. Sort of off at the off on the right there. He's flittering around. You'll see him in a second. Yeah, in this general area here. You'll see him flittering around. Here we go. Well done. Scarlet-chested sunbird. I haven't seen. Or is it? I thought it was. Let's have a look. It might actually be an amethyst. Oh. I just got a flash of red in my binoculars. But to be honest, I didn't get a proper look. We can't count birds to birding tallies unless it's on camera, everybody. So there is the weeping boerbean. Green, fresh leaves popping out. There's going to be an absolute smorgasbord of food for insects and birds alike. There we go. There's the scarlet-chested. Ah, what a wonderful bird. How beautiful is that? I'm very happy that the nectar plants are back. And there's doing his job of pollination, drinking the nectar, getting pollen on its beak and transferring it from flower to flower. Might have heard the laughing of the bearded woodpecker off to our right. We're going to stay here with our wonderful tree in blossom and see what other birds we can find.
That's so beautiful. Just come across bird of prey. And look at that bird, very skinny legs, huge head. But if it's a chance of that bird look at us, see how bright yellow eyes they got. So this is a brown snake eagle. So mainly the perch, see, he's gonna look at us right now. I don't know if you're able to see that, but because we can't get any closer, they're a very flighty bird. They don't stick around. But this is how they hunt. They perch, and as now is looking around there, they have incredible eyesight. And usually hunt for anything, snakes most. Lizard and a snake. Venomous snake. Would it be a cobra? Would it be a mamba? Would it be a puffadder? That will be taken up. The reason they're capable, indeed, it's beautiful bird. The reason they able to handle toxic snakes is just because of their legs are scaled legs. So to fight with the snakes, make sure that snake doesn't bite anywhere else. and eventually they will win snake. But look like now, since I think it's been sitting there for long, one leg it's resting. And I don't know if you're able to see that there, but I can able to see it. One leg is actually, that's the one that it's supporting the whole entire weight of the bird. Looking around like this, this is how they do. Twist their head almost like 60, 70 degrees around both sides. They don't have to, swing the whole body. The body is static, and only the head that it's twisting, But of course they have a bigger head as well, so that's how they are. We will leave this bird on its hunt and with its beautiful yellow eyes and look for more animal again.
From a beautiful snake eagle to a very sleepy but very attractive young male lion. Craig and I have been searching all over the place looking for any sign of that pride of lions, but we haven't had any luck. Luckily, one of the game drives leaving Mountain Lodge found this young male lion on their way out from game drive. We're literally within a couple 100 meters of the lodge, and he's lying out here in this open clearing, enjoying a nice cool breeze blowing across the plain onto his tummy. But look at that face. He is absolutely dead to the world. His tummy rising and falling very slowly. Look at that. That is a very, very relaxed looking young lion, which is quite strange, going off of the fact that he appears to be very much alone. And he's still, as I said, a young male lion, a sub-adult lion, about at the age where he's going to start, or where the dominant male lions of this part of the reserve that are dominant over the pride that he comes from are going to start pushing him out. And so it may be that it's already happened. We haven't seen it happen, but maybe it has happened already, and that's why he's out here by himself. And just imagine for this young lion, suddenly now all on his own. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a brother or a cousin with which to form a coalition. So he's going to be on his own for the next little while. And it's going to be very tough for him to make it, seeing as he is by himself. And his father and uncle are still very much in their prime and dominant in this area. Pentacle, you're saying that you almost want to go up and snuggle with him. He does look quite inviting, I suppose. Hey, have a look at that neck of his. There's just the start of that mane that's starting to grow on his chest and on his throat there. And there's that fluff around his ear that looks so soft. It looks even more inviting, I suppose, Pentacle, when it blows in the wind like it's doing now. Craig and I are going to sit here for just a little bit longer just to see what he gets up to. He was walking around a little bit earlier, and there have been some warthogs in the area. And just imagine if one of them comes a little bit closer to him.
So the lions were pretty cuddly, and surprisingly we found another animal which is in a really, really cuddly position. We've got a nice group of giraffes that have decided to all lie down, which is quite unusual, with the big male that's standing above keeping a lookout, which is fantastic. It's quite a cold but rather calm afternoon here, so they're all probably just resting and waiting for a good opportunity for the sun to come out, maybe last minute, to get a little bit of warmth. Hi, I'm Mike, and behind the camera is Odie, and you've joined us here at Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy. And yeah, we were just looking around for whatever we could find, and here comes these giraffes right up to the vehicle, and then they just all sat down right in front of us. It was so weird. I've never really seen that before. It's quite nice to have them so calm, but to have them so calm and also just lying down right next to us is pretty spectacular. I don't know if you see this very often. I certainly don't see it very often. And I was just doing a little bit of reading about it, and you know, giraffes don't spend a lot of time sleeping. Maybe less than any other mammal in the whole world, any other land mammal anyway. Only about half an hour a day do giraffes spend sleeping, and they can sleep just like this, lying down with their heads up, or they can even curl their necks and rest their head on their rump if they want to have a bit of a longer sleep. These ones are not sleeping though. They're just resting themselves, but what they're doing right now is ruminating. So they spent the earlier part of the day feeding, like picking up all the leaves off the trees, and right now they sort of regurgitate the leaf material back into their mouths and chew it again. If we zoom in on one of these, you might actually get to see the lump traveling up its throat from when it... Oh, I think it's just done it. So you'll see it. So it's not chewing yet. Wait for it, wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, did you see that? Did you see it? The little bolus of food came into its mouth and then filled into its cheek, and it started feeding again. That was really awesome. So you watch it, it'll chew like this for a minute or two, and then once it's chewed up that bit of leaves enough, it'll swallow it down and replace it with a different set of material that's not quite as well chewed. It's a very interesting, it's a very effective way of getting as much nutrients as possible from each and every single mouthful. And how they do it is actually the finer the material, the sinks down to the bottom of its stomach, and the less well-chewed material is floating at the top. So they use muscles to squeeze up the less chewed material. See, that one also just now got a mouthful. Delicious. Sometimes you eat a meal and you wish you could do the same because it was so tasty. Is that weird? That's probably a bit weird. Angie, it totally looks like they're chewing gum, which I'm jealous about because I was never allowed to chew gum when I was growing up. But yeah, I mean, they chew that for hours and hours and hours. So what they do is they fill their stomach up. Let's say on a normal hot day, Angie, they would have been feeding when it was cool. Then when it gets nice and hot, too hot for them to be out feeding, they'll go into the shade, and that's when they'll start regurgitating or ruminating that food, so they can still continue to get nutrients without having to stand in the hot sun. So this one looks like it's got a mouthful which is about to be swallowed. It doesn't look like it's got a big cheek pouch, so wait for it, it'll swallow and it will have nothing in its mouth. Then you might just get to see that neck bulge. See, there's the last swallow. Wait for it, wait for it. Watch this, watch this. Just getting comfortable. Maybe a bit of a scratch first before I finish the rest of my food. Amazing how flexible their necks can be. Look at that. It's literally scratching underneath its own leg. Wait for it, wait for it. Oh, it's got something. Cindy from Tennessee, ruminating is totally voluntary. Absolutely. It's not something that they do by accident. It's not like blinking, which just happens automatically. This is something they're physically doing because they can stop themselves at any moment. Like now, this one is not ruminating. It's just stopped completely. It's waiting. And then when it feels like it, it will squeeze a muscle contraction and that bolus will go back into its mouth. So it's totally voluntary. It's probably a bit like blinking. You know, we can either blink if we want to or it happens automatically. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they're controlling it completely. See, this giraffe is even pointing its ear towards us and listening. Incredible sense of hearing and eyesight and sense of smell. Very, very alert animals. And you see that eye, even though the head is facing completely away from us, you can see the eye there can still look at us. So they've got a really, really wide field of vision so that no animal like a lion is going to sneak up behind this giraffe and grab it whilst it's vulnerable. This is very vulnerable to be on the ground like this. Because, of course, if a lion did grab it by the neck, it would be very difficult for this giraffe to escape. And I only ever really see giraffes lying down like this, the few times that I have seen it, when there was a group of them like this, so that they could sort of watch each other's backs. I've never seen a giraffe on its own in the middle of nowhere, lying down like this. That's so nice. And these are all females, I think, the smaller ones. That large, very tall giraffe is a male. You can see how thick and strong his ossicones are. You see that, how thick and strong they are, and they've got no fur on the top there. It's a beautiful silhouette. And they've got beautiful eyelashes as well. Males and females both. Very, very gorgeous looking. What a spectacular way to start our afternoon.
Welcome back. Very interesting giraffe. And all about, chewing cud, ruminating out there. But here we got beautiful few zebras in this area, which normally zebra they associate with, giraffe for sure, and impalas and all of this form beautiful group together. And here we got them with the impala around here, this is how they do. Follow one another. Once they're all hooked up, they stick together and they rely on one another. Since also, they all have to pay a lot of respect to one another. They're also hunted by the same size of predators. Could be leopard or lions. So for them being together, it forms safety numbers. So they have to trust that they're all safe still. Remember, they can also make sound. If zebras see anything like danger, they can make also sound. Same as impala, they can also make sound. So this is a species that they have a lot of chance to survive immediately once they spotted the dangers. Once they heard a call from one or two, and then immediately they have to be aware of that or move out of the area immediately. Look at this running around here. You see running around animals, most especially, it's really awesome. Look at this now, joined impala, stop running. Running around the animal, you see horses will be doing the same, anything like baby impala will be doing the same. Cows will do the same as well when they feel excited. Animals do feel excited sometimes, especially when they've been so cold for such a long time. For them to warm up, they need to do that. And then just to, get the blood back on track again, to warm the systems up. Look at that. So the stripe, I don't know if you're able to see, I know it's quite fast, but the stripe, this is what makes the zebra, they're called dazzle of zebra, dazzle in number. So looking at the dazzle over here, the whole noun collective, dazzle of zebra in a group. But for that group, once they form group, then, and this is a chance of survive because the stripe now confuse the predators, especially when they run. If it's during the hot, this is also when they run, they picking up or disturb the ground, the dust pick up too much, and the stripe kind of display when they run. But also when it's static as well. If it's a single zebra, it's well blend in with this stripe. Beautiful. That's so cool animal. And there's more of them there. I'm just gonna be chilling around here with impala while we're leaving them in peace. We're gonna continue again searching for more.
This young male lion has lifted his head briefly, smelt the breeze, and then put his head back down. Not very much movement from him, but in that brief little movement that he did make, where he lifted his head up, we were able to look at the other side of his face. and there's quite a big scar running down his cheek from kind of between his eye and his ear down toward his jowl, and it's got a bit of mud on it. Doesn't look like it's super fresh, but it has been a couple of days since I've last seen this young male lion, and it certainly looks like he's had a bit of a run-in with either one of the two dominant males, or perhaps even the lionesses of his pride. Perhaps perhaps it was over a carcass. Maybe the lionesses killed something, and he moved in to try and feed on the kill. And of course, lions, as many of you have seen around a carcass, can be very aggressive towards each other, and perhaps that's where he got his injury from. Also, just looking at, I know obviously we can't see that side of his face, but looking at the side that we can see, the right-hand side of his face, have a look just below his eye. I don't know, you might just be able to make out there's also a little scar there, just below his eye. So already at this young age, starting to accumulate battle scars all over his face. And as he gets older and older, if he's able to survive to adulthood, he'll probably just keep accumulating those scars from fights with other males and fights with lionesses. For the time being, it doesn't look like he's got a care in the world. And we would really love to show you that scar. So Craig and I are going to sit here for just a little bit longer to see if he does lift his head so we can have a good look at it.
Sorry about that, everybody. It has flown away, but we've got another bird. We had a brown-hooded kingfisher. Now we've got a Tswalu eagle, which is further up. It's there spotted. And it's next to the Wahlberg nest that used to be here. There's a Wahlberg nest just off to the right of that bird. You'll see it in the tree. There it is. That's last year. I think they used it the year before as well. But no Wahlbergs here at the moment in this area. We saw one a few days ago, but there's a Tswalu just hanging out. Doing some grooming. Now we are in the river, in the Mawati. We were just around the corner from where we normally find the spotted eagle owls, and that was my intention. We'll try and see if they're around, and then slowly make our way over towards the east and see if we can help Andrew with those female leopard tracks. Oh, there's a second one. Did that just arrive? Well done. Hello, male and female Tswalu eagles. I took my eyes off the screen for one moment. You can see the male is the one on the right. He's the one who's just got the waistcoat, the white, and the female is wearing the white miniskirt. Not a real waistcoat or miniskirt, everybody, but she's got the white shoulders and then the white around the waist area, if you can imagine. We can see how short their tails are. Their wings overlap at the back. Wonder if they're going to maybe move into this nest. It's a bit early for them. They actually breed. They will actually breed at some point. Wonder if they would be cheeky enough to take the Wahlberg's nest. They have a very similar design. Wahlbergs and Tswalu's. They nest in the canopy of the tree, so a few meters below the top. Most of our, and they do breed in the summer months as well, so most of our large raptors will breed in the winter. And their platform nest is right on the top of a tree. And obviously winter months are a lot cooler, so there's no chance of the eggs really cooking. But in summer, if you want to have your eggs on top of a tree, there's a very good chance that the sun is going to overcook them. So Tswalu's and Wahlbergs will always have their nest a little bit inside. quite a peaceful scene with this duo. We had to move on and see if we can find our owl.
Well, we've got a couple of really cute floofs. One of them decided he's hungry. He's just eating his own foot, as babies do. This is a young spotted hyena. In fact, this one here is a little bit of a criminal. Last night, this exact little hyena did decide to chew on and completely destroy a wonderful chair that OD had brought to the camp to recline on. The chair is no longer, RIP, literally in pieces. And now he's looking for what else he can steal. OD was just saying he hopes he hasn't left anything else outside of his tent. No shoes. The hyenas love the shoes. So we're right outside of our camp. Literally, there's the tents that the students sleep in right there. And these two little hyenas have decided to come and investigate. You know, all of our students left this morning, so our camp is actually empty at the moment. And so they've come to investigate what little bits and bobs can we find to chew on. Hopefully no more. Hopefully no more. It was a very nice chair, and the hyena really appreciated it. Thanks, OD. He really liked it. R.I.P. But this hyena obviously got a little bit of indigestion, because now he's chewing on his own foot. He's confused as to what he's supposed to do. It's going to go and lie down in the sand. It's cute, you know. These two hyenas, these little two here, they've become our camp floofs. They're every night in our camp causing all sorts of mayhem. They've chewed countless amounts of shoes and, you know, caused endless sleepless nights for our backups who are in camp to sort of help us maintain the camp. And they're forever having to come up with all sorts of systems. We've got literally about 2 tons of driftwood piled around our kitchen to try and stop them from getting in. But they always seem to find a way. They're very intelligent. We've got sandbags, we've got piles of wood, we've got tables even that we've piled up to try and stop them, but they always find a way. They're obviously much more intelligent than we are. We can't seem to stop them. The adult hyenas don't seem to come into our camp. There's the other one there, like literally walking on a termite mound, looking down into our dining area. We see you. We see you. Don't realize that we've figured out your route. We're getting more information. Got the culprits. I feel like an investigator. Only 50-50 of you all say that you'd love to live in tents with these hyenas wandering about. No ways. It's so exciting. Well, I mean, not if you leave your shoes outside. But if you don't leave your shoes outside, it's awesome. It's super cool. We've had leopards, lions, elephants almost every night in the camp, and it's extremely exhilarating. Of course, you have to always be on your toes. But, I mean, look at this. This hyena also wants to live in a tent. So these two spotted hyenas are ranging quite far now from where their den site is. I'm not exactly sure how old they are. Somewhere between 6 months and a year, I'd say. So definitely old enough to have lost their dark coloration, or at least most of it, and start investigating around and, you know, learning about the world. And at about a year old, the spotted hyena youngsters, I believe, start being involved in the hunting and foraging for the clan. So they're beginning to start foraging, although I don't know if they'd appreciate the chair.
Well, hyenas in camp sounds like Juma all over again. Hyenas are very inquisitive. We've caught up with our owls, everybody. A pair of spotted eagle owls. How cool are they? Sitting out in the open for us today. I think they're getting... Well, one was awake a moment ago. It was looking at us, the one on the right. It's got its eyes open. Such funny... There you go. Hello. Good morning, sir. Not yet time to wake up. Debbie, some monogamous birds do stay together all year round and for life, especially large ones. Owls will, storks, a lot of them will spend, and herons. You might not see them always together, but the large raptors generally do spend their entire life together. But small birds will only come together for the breeding season. And they might call them monogamous as well, but it might only even last for one season. And the next year, the female might choose a different mate. So generally with the longer-lived animals, including some geese, you will find a pair bonding, not just in the breeding season. Ooh, that one, top right, has definitely had a double espresso. Did you like that there? One looks quite alert, and the other one looks as if it would like to go back to sleep. It's not time to get up yet, honey. Let's just roll back over. Quite incredible to actually see them out like this. They are so camouflaged, but we've gotten so used to knowing where to find them. Everybody loves these two. Well, if they have another chick this year, we could hopefully get a Sebwig 2. That should be very special. Those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, there was a chick was hatched and reared here last year. Kirsty said it'll make a year, and we spent months right here in this drainage line trying to find them, and the name was given to it. It was called Sebwig. Oh, there goes one. That was the one that was more awake. Now the second one is like, why are you flying? Where are you going? The call that you heard was the sound of a squirrel going. I'm not going to say exactly what the squirrel said because it was something rude, but it was like, oh my word. That's what the squirrel said, except in a little bit more fouler language to all the other animals around, to say that this one's pupils haven't yet caught up with the light. Looks like it needs a concussion test. So that high-pitched is a sound that a squirrel gives off immediately when they hear, or so when they see a bird of prey. Very reliable for birds of prey, squirrels. Not so reliable for leopards, but we do find them every now and again. But if you ever hear that high-pitched which I can't do very well, you look up, you'll probably find a bird of prey. It's almost instant. This fellow's trying to think, where is my partner gone? Surely it's not time to fly off yet. Got the go-away birds shouting all over the place. They don't know where the bird of prey is. Pays to be alert. Predators can sneak up on you at any stage. But these owls we seem to find now in the same tree every time we come around. It'll be interesting to see exactly where it is they nest, because we will be all over that.
It sounds like there's been a fantastic afternoon of birds all over. But unfortunately, this young lion still hasn't moved. So Craig and I are probably going to move out from here in a little bit and go and see what else we can find this evening. I think we're maybe going to have to try and pull our weight a bit more in the birding department. We did have that flamingo a little bit earlier and a couple of water birds. But yeah, as I said, this young lion doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to go anywhere anytime soon. Just amazing to see, though. Something that's really caught my attention with him lying in the way that he's lying is the size of those paws. Ben, you're asking if it's safe for us to drive in an open vehicle here, and yes, it is, absolutely. The animals they see the vehicle kind of as one object, and there's no doubt that they recognize that there are people inside, but there's no kind of evolutionary response to a vehicle. It's not something that they have ingrained in their, I suppose, if you will, in their genetic memory, if that makes sense. So whereas this lion will have an instinct in terms of how to react to a person on foot, which will be one of needing to defend itself, so either to try and repel the human away or to escape the human, because it'll recognize a human as a dangerous animal. A vehicle is not something that it has an evolutionary response to. And so the first time a lion sees a vehicle, it might be a little bit wary of it, but as long as humans are respectful in the vehicles, the animals quickly learn that a vehicle is not something that they need to be afraid of. And for that reason, they kind of just ignore us. They don't try to come into the vehicles or try to get to us inside the vehicles. So yes, it is very safe for us to be here. So I was just going to say, the size of those paws on his body, just a testament to how much growing shame this young lion still has to do. And if he has been pushed away from his pride already, he's got to have a lot of work to do, trying to keep himself alive, keep himself sustained, maybe follow along in the wake of the rest of his pride and feeding on the leftovers of their kills. At this size, he'll already be big enough to intimidate something like a leopard or a maybe one or two hyenas off of a kill that they've made. But just looking at the way that he's been carrying himself, when we saw him walking a little bit earlier, it was not to be nasty, but he completely missed a warthog that was walking past him. He didn't even see it. There's been nyalas that have been moving all around him the whole time, and he's ignored them. So I think he's going to have a hard time. Certainly for the first little while is this young male lion. But if he's successful, then one day when he's grown, in a couple of years from now, 3 or so years, when he's reaching his prime, reaching his full size, he'll be able to challenge for a territory. Or who knows, perhaps there are other lion prides in the area that have young males that are also soon going to be pushed away from their pride, and maybe if he's lucky, he'll be able to join up with them and form a coalition, which will then just be that much better for him in terms of him being able to one day challenge for a territory. But lovely to see him, and who knows what the future will hold for this young male lion. Craig and I are going to leave him for now, and we're going to go see what else we can find for you this afternoon.
Right, so can you spot the little floof? Can anyone spot the floof? Very well camouflaged floof. Just lying down in the sand, trying to remain hidden. There he is. Looks like a piece of elephant dung. That's what he's doing. He's channeling his inner elephant dung. What's interesting is that the second has disappeared for quite some time now, and it's really quiet. And when a youngster disappears and is quiet for a long time, they're up to no good. There's mischief afoot. Investigate about OD's, socks, or there's something out there which is going to get of yours, Becky. I'm sure of it. But they do this regularly to see how relaxed they are. So the adult hyena, through chewing, both of them end up getting. Sorry, I know that my audio is doing funny things at the moment. Hopefully that's a bit better. So yeah, the adult hyenas tend to feed on the normal stuff that they should out in the bush, and these ones here are the ones that like to cause mischief. And I believe, honestly, that it's also playful behavior, because they're still very young, and so they're just learning about the world, and they want to touch things and bite things. So Odie actually came out 3 times, what did you say, 3 times last night from his tent to chase this little thing, and 3 times it came back, and so eventually we just gave up and said, have the chair, it's yours now. Striped horse, hyenas are curious animals and also quite nervous animals, so they'll always move away from a larger, more powerful animal. And human beings are technically the largest and most powerful predator or dominant animal. So they know that we're very intelligent, they know that we're very potentially dangerous, and so if we approach them, they definitely move off. They know that they give way to us, even though we haven't got teeth and claws like they do. But they don't move far, because this is part of their lifestyle. They steal food from larger, more powerful animals often, And so it's just part of how they've evolved. So you wouldn't get a leopard doing this, or a lion doing this necessarily, because they would also be a bit afraid of humans, and they're not designed, or it's not part of their nature to steal all the time. Whereas with hyenas, that's really part of what they do. They do steal most of the time from larger animals, larger, more powerful animals. That's not to say that... What's that, Owen? You said there's another one. No, it's hiding. I tell you what, it's got a shoe. It's definitely got a shoe or a towel. You know what? My towel is actually hanging up outside my tent. I would not be surprised if we go over there and we find it's busy sniffing on it. In fact, that's what I'm going to do soon finished here. I'm going to go and rescue my towel from the clutches of one of these floofs. I realize exactly what's happening. This one here is a distraction. Oh, we've fallen for it. We've been duped. This one is a distraction. We're going to go and see what the other one's doing.
Welcome back to the Wigs. This is Mr. or Mrs. Wig, I'm not sure. The other one flew off, as you know. This one's decided to go back to sleep. They've become quite relaxed. Initially, the parents were not that relaxed last year. Often would fly away when we approached.
Can you give an update for Jane, please?
Sorry about that. It was very loud. Sorry, Al, I hope I didn't wake you from your slumber. Al didn't like that at all, did they? No. Very cute, aren't they? And very fluffy. So the adults used to fly away regularly last time we were here, or last year, should I say. And then Sebwig relaxed very quickly, and we were able to see him quite regularly, pretty much where we are now, pretty much where these owls are, in and around this area. Minima, you want to know what the owl's ear tufts are called? They're called ear tufts. That's exactly what they're called. They're not actually ears. A lot of people would say that they're for mate recognition, so species recognition, as well as for camouflage. They help to sort of change the outline of the head. The ears are actually below those ear tufts on the side of the head at different hemispheres of the head. So when sound hits the face, it filters across the eyes, across that sort of half moon around the eyes, and it filters off there. And as the sound reaches each ear, which are at slightly different hemispheres on the head, it enables the owl to triangulate the position of whatever it is that's moving. It's very, very, very interesting. And you imagine turning your head and you can work out without your eyes exactly where something is by the sound it's making and how that sound reaches your ears. Different speeds. Hello? The camouflage is so good, this bird thinks we don't know it's there. Now it's looking at me and going, are you talking about me? How about, why don't you all of you send through a one-word tweet and tell us, what is this bird saying? One-word tweet. What is this bird saying to me right now? Send that through to #WildEarth, and let's see what you can all come up with.
It's actually, sorry, afternoon, apart from a leopard with cubs that we had 2 pangolin sightings, but they weren't that great, so I thought I'd keep driving. And we also had a huge thunderstorm out here. We were caught in a thunderstorm. I'm just absolutely winding you up, don't worry. It's been a fairly quiet afternoon, but I was just listening to Steve with a sighting of spotted eagle owls. And that's really cool. So our spotted eagle owls now are slap bang in the middle of breeding season. Well, kind of the start to the middle of breeding season. And we had a wonderful sighting yesterday. Unfortunately, there were the little issues that we're experiencing at the moment. We couldn't come live. He's actually sitting on a nest. So hopefully once David works his wonders up the mountain tomorrow, we'll actually be on the money in terms of being able to cover those areas. And then it's a long shot, but maybe we'll be able to keep tabs on that eagle owl nest. And obviously in the nestlings as they start growing older. But yeah, so far this afternoon, like I say, it's been fairly quiet. But this weather is, the temperature is amazing. It's almost as good as the Bahamas was last week. Those of you still wondering.
Almost like the Bahamas. Well, it definitely isn't like it over here. The weather's been quite uncomfortable today, but it feels like the worst of it is over. I'm very interested to hear what one words you're all able to come up with. If it happens to be a small sentence as well, that's okay. We don't mind. Caption this. Megan says great camouflage. Okay. They are very camouflaged. Theo, what's your one word? What is this owl saying to us right here? Coffee.
Double espresso.
Double espresso, yeah. Sugarbird said coffee. There we go. You know, that the first one was the early bird and has risen, has flown off in search of food already. This one just needs a few more moments. Barbara says, the owl says, are you still talking? Talking, still talking, nattering away. It's very hard to tell the difference between the male and female. Daniel's got the funniest one for the day. He said hoot. There's a hoot, Daniel. So male and female spotted eagle owls, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. They are alike. There's probably a very slight difference in size. Samantha's one-word tweet is shh. Indeed, I'll keep quiet. Allow this owl a few more moments of sleep. Oh, some starlings might have found it. Those starlings have flown in. They're trying to think, is that an owl? I'm not quite sure. Looks like a stick to me. They're now having a conversation with each other. Oh, now the owl's moved its head. Yes, now they know it's dead. Maybe they don't. Maybe they have no idea. Right underneath it. It's the Cape Glossy Starling. Standing by, Andrew.
Where are you with you?
Andrew, I'm just in the Moati, close to Twin Dams at the moment.
Okay, no problem. Just an eye there and I'm going to check with it for you.
Okay, copied.
Heine Road.
Starlings don't seem to know that the owl is there. Is it that incredible camouflage? It's looking for food. Come to investigate. Oh, what have I? Oh, it's got a feather. Maybe it knows the owls have been preening and grooming here, and they're going to collect the feathers for. See how it's looking around where the owl droppings are there, and it's going to collect the feather because it is time for breeding. So maybe that is the pair of starlings, and he's going, hey, honey, I've got some bedding for our new down feather mattress. They are cavity nesters, the starlings, And he might display for her now, show what a wonderful nest maker he can be. I'll try and pick up a few more. First, just going to wipe this one a bit. It's a bit dirty. smells of death. It's got an owl all over it. Oh, and I just left it. I wonder if they must know that the owl is here, but they're not alarm calling. If they knew it was there, okay, off they go. Oh, interesting. Maybe they had a dare between them. I dare you to go and play under that owl and to taunt it by taking one of his feathers and rubbing it on the stick. Now that other starling has gone and won the bet. Now off they go to celebrate. I told you the owl would do nothing. He's just going to sit there. It is a day of trying to figure out what the birds are saying, everybody. We do have some humor sometimes. It's good to have some humor.
It's not here. Bit difficult to follow, but I'll try my best.
Ian, you want to know why their eyes are yellow? Are they? He's like, I don't have yellow eyes, you can't see. I'm not really sure, Ian. It's you know, some lions have got yellowish eyes, some leopards, some of them have got bluish eyes. Owls' eyes seem to be yellow. I really don't know why. It's very hard to say. If they were active by day, they'd probably have dark eyes because of the light. People who come from sort of more sunny areas generally have darker eyes, and people whose genetics comes from more sort of colder areas, I suppose. I'm sure it's got a lot to do with environment, with how animals have sort of evolved with the sun. I'll have a look and see if all the other owls as well do have. Can't say I've really noticed. The Pell's fishing owl's got black eyes. The grass owl's got black eyes. Scops owl's got yellow eyes. African wood owl's got black eyes. So I really don't know. Cape eagle owl's got orange eyes. Marsh owl dark. Pell's fishing owl very dark. Southern white-faced scops owl's got orange eyes. Spotted eagle owl yellow. I really don't know, because I mean then the Verreaux's eagle owl's got black eyes. So if anybody knows why owls have got, or certain owls have got yellow eyes and some don't. Barn owl, black again. Barred owlet, now they got yellow, as well as pearl spotted. So it is a mystery. It is a mystery, but maybe we'll get a good look at this one's eyes shortly.
From western side of Australia, there.
So we got some lions. We weren't actually actively looking for them. Well, we kind of were, but I didn't want to give the game away too much. These are sub-adults. This is a sub-adult lioness. There are 2 sub-adult males somewhere in this thicket just behind her there. And there is an adult lioness that actually crossed over. We haven't seen her. We just saw tracks moving out towards the west. What a gorgeous cat, eh? So she's about 18 months now, give or take. So she's still got quite a bit of growing to do. But that light on her is beautiful and soft. Incidentally, those of you who enjoy photography, that kind of stuff, with things like lions and even large game, elephant, buffalo, rhino, those kind of things, overcast weather is often the best. And not just because of the behavioral stuff. It's just you don't get so much contrast, high contrast on your images and that. So it, kind of like a big filtered light with clouds is actually really, really nice for photography on these kind of animals. Oh, that's so sweet. She actually goes behind the bush to go do her ablutions. Unlike David. Hey, what a cat, eh? I think we saw. Yeah. So I know I don't push lions too hard on our drives at Tswalu because I know our colleagues just get the most incredible lion sightings and hyena, lion, leopard, hyena interactions, that kind of stuff. So, but I'm never averse to finding one if I think an opportunity presents itself. So, but I like the small stuff as well. Interestingly, on the eye color of raptors, our colleagues were talking about the eye color of owls, and I have no idea for what it's worth, but I don't know why in terms of the yellow eye color, we can look at why, but if you look at a lot of your large raptors, the eye color often changes. So when they're young ones, your juveniles, the eyes are often a very, very dark color, and as they get older, the eyes change, become a lighter color, and that's probably a visual recognition thing for adults, you know, to say, okay, from a distance, because the eyesight on raptors is ridiculously good. For identifying, okay, that's a youngster, and obviously plumage, that kind of stuff. She's very curious, this cat, eh? Very curious. And it's at this age that they really start like going out and testing what they can and they can't catch. I didn't even hear the question at all. Sorry, guys, my comms is breaking up really badly here, so if I don't hear something, forgive me, it's not deliberate. If you maybe just repeat that. Okay, I'm really, really sorry. I just got Painter Girl and Daytime Hunters. That's all I got. So I'm sorry, we are sitting in a spot where our comms is super. I really apologize for that. She's scenting the air over here. They actually killed something last night. There's still a bit of pink underneath the throat. Okay, there we go. Yellow eyes means daytime hunter, not necessarily. Spotted eagle owls is a great example. They've got these startlingly yellow eyes, and they're nocturnal hunters. So I wouldn't. It's a great question. I'm actually going to look into that a little bit. It'll be really, really interesting to figure that out. In fact, eye color generally is quite interesting. I think humans, it's kind of like fairly taped in terms of lineages, that kind of stuff. But eye color in terms of animals is very, very interesting. Maybe it just looks nice. What color eyes do you want? I would like some yellow eyes, please. All right, you can have yellow eyes. Tea and cake or yellow eyes? Oh, I'll go with the tea and cake, please. Oh, what an afternoon. Can you zoom out, David? Is it possible? Just look at the setting that we're in here. And you can go figure why I love working in this place. Not working, just like ambling around. But I mean, look at this, eh? And these gorgeous cirrus clouds above us. Unfortunately, this what do you call this, cold front, or not even a cold front, this frontal weather seems to be dissipating a little bit, but the clouds are still stunningly beautiful. The landscape, there's big fig trees up on the hill there. There's a lion watching us. That's always fun. So beautiful.
Have a look at what Craig and I have found, everybody. Look at those teeth and how ferocious and vicious and scary this creature looks. Look at those terribly sharp tusks in the front there. Oh, and the little incisor teeth there at the front. Quite a vicious looking creature, almost something out of a horror movie. And I'm going to let Craig zoom out so that you can see the whole picture. And maybe some of you might even want to have a guess at what this is. I'm going to open the mouth a bit. Have a look at this row of teeth up here on the top. Lots of molar teeth, Some of them pretty worn. Running my finger over them, I can feel that they're quite smooth. It's obviously been worn down. So this animal was quite old. When it died, it's obviously been chewing a lot. And let me put the jaw back together. I'll turn it to face you. Got quite a big, hard forehead and little eyes here on the side of its head, and quite a characteristic little bump over here on the front of the skull there. Look at that there. And over here, a little socket. Lots of people are guessing warthog, and you're very close. And I think these little tusks here are probably what made you think warthog. You're very close with warthog. It's not a warthog, it's the other species of pig, of wild pig that we get here in South Africa, the bush pig. An animal that we do see from time to time. Magic dragon, was it you saying you think it's a dragon? It certainly looks like one. It's quite ferocious looking, isn't it? These very scary big tusks in the front here, and those big scary looking teeth on the side of its mouth. But yeah, so a bush pig. I don't know if any of you were able to get that, but not something that we get to see very often, because they are quite shy, nocturnal and elusive animals, normally sticking to pretty dense thickets. But pretty cool to get to see one's skull and the differences between it and the warthog. So have a look over here. Obviously there's those same little tusks on the side of the mouth there that warthogs will have, those tusks on the lower jaw. And also if I run my thumb along them, they are also viciously sharp, just like a warthog's. But different to a warthog, there's no big tusks growing out of the top of the mouth. There's also apparently lots of you remarking on how scary these tusks are. I would not want to be cut by these. Just running my thumb very gently on here, they are super, super sharp. So yeah, so no big tusks on the upper jaw like a warthog has. The skull is also quite a bit more, it's not as flat on the top as a warthog's is. And then there's this very characteristic little bony protuberance here that often on a mature male bush pig, a bush pig boar rather, you can often see, even from a distance, they have these big bumps on the sides of their faces, almost like little warts, kind of between the nose and the eyes. And one of the dimorphisms that you can sometimes see between or mature males and females. Now, this particular bush pig was caught out in this clearing behind me a couple of months ago. It was killed by lions. Didn't feed on very much of the carcass, but they obviously did leave it here. It was fed upon by scavengers, and very cool that we could come and have a look at the skull now a few months later that it's decomposed.
Welcome back to the Owls of Juba, where we haven't had a peep out of our owl since you left. So we find them regularly right here. Painter Girl, did you say that the eyes yellow for the day, orange for evening, and at night time is black? That's interesting. I mean, the pearl-spotted owlet is obviously a crepuscular or diurnal owl. They definitely have yellow eyes, and many raptors do. But this guy specifically is very rarely active by day. Almost always in the early evening and at night hunting. So maybe he just forgot. Now, it is interesting how these behavioral changes, you'd expect there to be some sort of correlation to it. Maybe it's an owl that was more active by day a long time ago, and due to the influx of more predatory birds during the daytime, because they are mobbed by crows as well as raptors in the day, so maybe that's forced them to become more of a nocturnal hunting bird instead. There are other nocturnal hunters, but they are far more predatory birds by day than they are by night. But very interesting, in many studies they've analysed the pellets of these, and there's at least 60 different prey species that these birds will feed on, from hares, bush babies, falcons, francolins, fruit bats, to small insects, spiders, snails, crabs, and even millipedes. Also large poisonous snakes, mole rats, moths, dead fish, carrion, and even possible cannibalism on a roadkill that they've seen before. So, but 65% of their prey are generally arthropods. They will feed on rodents, shrews, small birds, which form the bulk of the diet. Obviously, it's very seasonal dependent as well. Many of these organisms change. So if you don't know what I mean by a pellet, owls will swallow quite a bit of food, bones and fur, and they'll often regurgitate that, and it comes out as a little fur ball. Some owl pellets, you can actually dissect them, and you can find an entire rodent's body, jaw, all sorts of parts of its body, all included in that pellet, because the owl can't digest the bone or the feather or the fur or some feathers. So obviously that comes out, almost like cats would cough up fur balls. Owls would have pellets. So I'm very tempted to, next time I come here and don't find these owls in that little spot, have a little scratch around underneath, because we've had them many times in this exact same area, because they will regurgitate pellets 12 to 29 hours or so after a meal. And then you break those up, and inside you can find all sorts of things. Hello, Warren Chief. Owls, natural predators as well. Large owls are natural predators to smaller owls. So the smaller you are, the more a threat you are to the bigger owls. But all other birds of prey are also potential threats. Crows will mob and injure owls, especially these guys as well, if they can. But giant eagle owls are one of the biggest predators of other owls. And then if they are seen by day, they can also be harassed and even hunted by other predatory birds. But it's always about size. These owls pack quite a punch, so if anybody wants to catch them, they need to be a bit bigger. Obviously, there's always the opportunity of your medium to small cats being predatory towards owls. But owls will perch in trees like this, are very camouflaged, and they're very quick to fly off if disturbed. You often don't even know that they're there if you're walking. So they get by in life with camouflage, and as you can see, they do very well at that. We might spend just a moment longer with this fellow, see if he or she wakes up.
All right, so we've come back to those two males that we found this morning, and they have been extremely active, as you can see. They've gone from sitting to lying down. So that for a lion is pretty much about as much action as you usually get during the day. Oh, hello.
Sorry about that, everybody. You're back with us. We just need to frame up the the camera's just dropped. Sorry about that, everybody. The camera just dropped slightly. Just heard some hyenas calling. It sounded quite far off, though. Definitely starting to become evening. We heard this, the mate of this one calling a little while ago. more than one hyena calling. Sounds like they're coming closer. We might be lucky. Last time I was sitting here watching the owl, we had a hyena walk straight past. They do love to walk through this drainage line. And I've no doubt that's actually how the owls do a fair bit of their hunting. They'll just sit there and watch. If something of interest moves past, they quickly swoop down. We slow there for a little while. See if this fellow does anything.
Well, a few minutes ago, I got stuck somewhere. We have been having lots of rains in the Masai Mara, and the dominant, the area we were in, we had lots of black cotton soil, which gets very sticky when you get stuck. But now, let's look at this topic here. Let's trying to find out where I have been and what happened to me before I show you a bit of sunset. The sun, as it's setting, is shining its light to that topi. And this refreshes my mind, or makes me feel like, brings my spirits up after having gotten stuck for quite some time. And from where we were, there were some buffaloes from a distance. And I was wondering if those buffaloes could come and give a hand, because buffaloes are pretty strong mammals. Topi had no chance. And I'm guessing this is a boy because of being alone where he is. Females. Yeah, I agree with all of you. Remember the days of the marshmallow, so I should be one now because of what I've done. And me and Bungei have gone an extra mile to make sure we get out of that area. Yes, marshmallows. And if the short trains will continue in the Mara, we shall be seeing lots of that. Look at the beauty of the Mara. From Topi to Ellis. Egrets flying. Very good camera work there, Bungei. Well done. Ooh-hoo-hoo. They said, okay, we are going because you have bigger animals than us. And we got elephants. And you can see how our western horizon looks like. An elephant and the sun setting. And that escarpment you see there is the very usual one, the Olololo escarpment. I don't know how many of you can say Olololo, Olololo. So these elephants have to eat as much as they can. Very good. That's very well said. In the final control, Cass is trying to say it, and it's like small little concern for some people, some tribes in Kenya or rather in Africa who have issues with the letter L and R, and they'll always mix them up. And the Olololo could be like Orororo. So it depends on where you come from. And then at times you've requested people who are saying something or a word that we think is familiar but pronounced differently. We request them to write it down. And like, oh, is that what you meant? Okay. Some franklins making some dusk noise as they're preparing to get out of the field. Ellis like this will not go anywhere. Even after the sunset, even after darkness, they will continue doing their thing, feeding and moving. Elephants is the only animal that I know eat for so long. I think they spend almost 2/3, if not 3/4 of their lives feeding and moving. With such low temperatures now, they have every reason to enjoy the grass. And you can tell they're not flapping their ears, meaning that everything is just perfect for them. I'll move on because my initial plan was at least I spot any kind of predator as we see that sunset for like 15 seconds. And very good job there, Bungay.
I would have loved a sunset like that, especially to warm up a bit because it's nice and cool this afternoon here. But have a look at this elephant bull down at the water, and you'll see what it's doing. It just came down to drink. But often with elephant bulls, they'll tend to reach their trunk as far as they possibly can into water, because often the water closer towards the edges will probably be quite muddy, maybe dirty from as the wind was blowing it. A lot of the materials could have been like washed closer towards just where he is, the surface, more towards the bank. But you can see how he's just enjoying the water. It's just such a beautiful scene. You can hear some of the robins calling in the background. Of course, this elephant just enjoying a nice late afternoon drink before he eventually ventures off from there and starts feeding again. Now I just want to show you this waterhole where this elephant is currently at. You'll notice it's like quite a big indent here in the surface, and the reason why we wanted to come past is because we found some tracks of possibly some members of the pride, and we came down in this direction to see if there's any signs of them. You never know with animals coming down to drink if these lions were probably waiting around for an opportunity like the ones we saw earlier with that buffalo. There's always a good opportunity if there's water to see if there's any other tracks of the lions. But I haven't seen any other tracks. But how nice is this for a elephant late in the afternoon?
Beautiful herd of gemsbok. Many of you know them as oryx. This is a very typical nursery herd, so you got a whole lot of youngsters. These actually aren't very, very young ones. They're almost a year old now. You're probably looking at 9 to 10 months old, the smallest, the youngest one here, going up to 12, 13 months. And then obviously adult cows, like that big one out on the right, or those are actually the two on at the back. There's a couple of adult cows there and then youngsters. Gorgeous setting, eh? That one's starting to get nervous now. Actually, there was another gemsbok that ran across in the far, far, far distance. And when that lead animal saw that movement, that's when it started trotting off like that. So it could have just picked it up. I don't think it recognized the other one as a gemsbok. I think it just saw the last part of it as it disappeared. And they're like, there's something they don't trust around here. And that's how you stay alive in the bush, by actually being alert and aware of what's going on around you. Everything I chose about life and death. I mean, it's like, you ignore a movement, or you too relaxed around something, that's going to get you into deep problems with the lions. This we know well. What a beautiful afternoon. The wind is still, but it's not cold. It's really not cold. I mean, look at that sky. Look at those clouds with those rays. So those rays that you're seeing, that's just the... Susan says, what a view. I can't agree with you more. It is a absolutely glorious, glorious, glorious view. And those rays that you typically see, like David was on over there coming out, that's actually just the shadows. The sun is behind the clouds, so you're actually seeing the shadow of the clouds being cast into the atmosphere like that. That gives it the impression of the sun's rays. And it's that same phenomena that you see, the umbra in the mornings when you actually see the shadow of the earth cast into the atmosphere. Obviously, that's just on a much bigger scale than what we're seeing over here.
We've got a very huge elephant here. And what we want to do is to move forward a little bit, a few meters. Bungay, let me know when to stop. There. Because we want to give you a huge elephant bull sunset in the background. So you can hear him moving and putting the grass. Just one more minute. One moment. Tell me when to stop. Tristan, how are you? And good to hear them. Are you happy with them? And your question is the average rainfall in the Masai Mara. Now, the Mara has an average of about 1,000 millimeters of rainfall annually. That may change because the last couple of years, as you may look, that elephant again, the last couple of years, the weather has been quite erratic in Africa. But in average, we give it 1,000 millimeters of rainfall per year. I would imagine we have 1,200, 1,500, sometimes 800, 700, but 1,000 millimeters a year is not bad, or is what we normally record here. This year, we had rains that were unusually high, and I would imagine anybody who was recording the rainfall every day, the millimeter gauge would have recorded a lot more, maybe by the end of December. Now, our L is moving a little bit. We just want to move one more time. When a camera operator wants a particular frame, that's exactly what he wants. And he wants to give you a parting shot from here. Let me know when to stop again. Keep going, keep going. Just hold on a few more seconds. Okay. He tells me this is the best place to see this one huge Ellie, and he is definitely a bull. And look at that sunset as he majestically overshadows every other animal or every other vegetation that you'd imagine of. This is just wonderful, and everybody, Point of Control, Cassie says this is magnifique. He will stop. Audrey, you'd like to know if elephants feed at night. Or I'll tell you what, elephants feed throughout, during the day and during the night. In general, of course, depending on the age of an elephant, elephants will feed between 14 to 18 hours in a day. I want to show you the frame or the physiology, the size of that elephant that we have here. And you would imagine how many kilos of food it would take. Anything from 150 kilos, sometimes 250 kilos, depending on the age and the size. So elephants will feed both day and night. So you'd imagine a day of 24 hours and you get about 16, 18 hours. Definitely part of the night is covered in the feeding. Look at that sunset there. Excellent. I love that. We'll still try and continue walking with him slowly. And I'm trying to say something called walking with elephants. He is alone, and that's why I said he is a bull in this particular area. I haven't seen any other single elephant around this area, and that is not unusual to see them on their own. He looks quite senior to me in terms of age, and I would say if it come to breeding or reproduction or mating of the cows, I would count him as a very prime bull that would qualify to mate with the cows. They keep walking, but most likely he might go and join the other bulls, or he might go and join another herd. Right, Monkey, these elephants get hungry every other time. I'll tell you the reason why. Because their digestion is not the best. From what they eat, are you up there? From what they eat, they only put to good use 40%. So they have to eat so much. And you imagine the rest, 60%, comes out of the body. In general, undigested. It gets a little touched here and there. And he's trying to confirm to us he's a boy and that I had not made a mistake calling him a male. You can see his genitalia there. So they need to keep eating to hold that body. And of course, they also drink lots of water. Did you wink at me? Someone who was saying, can't remember why and when, or was asking me whether elephants do wink, and I think you all saw him winking. I'm not sure he's trying to lubricate his eye, or is a reflex, like some of us, or like human beings will do. But I saw him wink 2 times. And by the way, this is my favorite animal. And just like I was asking the buffalo why he couldn't towers, I don't know where this huge male elephant was when we were stuck. But we're out, happy to see him, and maybe we'll let him enjoy his grass.
So, with David's favorite animal being an elephant, my favorite, of course, is a zebra. Now, if you look at right in the middle of the screen, you'll notice there's a little zebra looking in our direction. And in this area, there's quite a few, because you can see how open it is. There's also wildebeest, lone wildebeest amongst all of them. Now, the reason why zebra is my favorite is because every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And then if you notice the mane on top of the zebra's neck, you'll notice that how the white and the black run from the neck into the mane. And that mane between the ears all the way just to behind the shoulder blades is the same height. It still blows my mind. But an incredible animal. And that wildebeest, the reason why he's probably with this herd of zebras, because of that safety in numbers. There's so many eyes, ears that are available, and he knows because of that he'll stay safe, especially also knowing that the lion tracks were heading down in this area. The grass is quite tall, so with him sticking in the middle of the herd of a zebra means that the chances of survival is just that much better. Risky with a zebra, they, especially depending on what type of horse we're looking at, but they would be, if you had to take something like a stock horse, a zebra would be smaller in comparison to the size. So their height, they're not really tall in comparison to a horse. So to give you an idea, if you had to stand next to the zebra, so let's say an average man's height would be, 1.8 meters. So if that person would stand next to a zebra, the zebra would probably be around the torso area, around the chest of an individual. So, I mean, it's a big animal, but it's not as tall as in comparison to something like a stock horse. And I do know some of the racing horses might be a lot taller than a zebra, but it depends on what horse, because if you had to compare against a pony, of course a pony would be smaller than a zebra. Something as a stock horse be too big, so it'd probably be a combination between a pony and a stock horse in between. risky they are. Like, I mean, they're not like that tall of an animal, but I mean, I think what would be a nice comparison is even if one had to go and search and see if there's a comparison between zebras and horses in order to get an idea of how tall they are. Because I mean, it's harder, especially if they are in the open like this, to be able to judge their height and to compare their height. But it'd be nice just to have two of them together in order to compare that. Just notice the different heights that they are feeding at the moment. You'll see the zebra closest to us. Mainly when it's feeding at like quite high levels of the grass. Where the wildebeest at the back, you'll see when it's feeding, the head goes down quite low to the ground. Even the zebra, like they alternate, but mainly, like whenever zebras move, and you'll notice that they do feed off the higher strands of grass.
Welcome back to Djoom, everybody, where our owl eventually woke up and flew away. So we decided to carry on and see if we could find the activity or movement of any other nocturnal animal. Now, Andrew was tracking female leopard earlier in this area. So we're just trying our luck, see if maybe we can have a chance of spotting Thandi. And her cub, of course, before it gets dark. We do need our last minute, 10-minute leopard. That would be wonderful. It's been a few days and I haven't seen one. Getting a bit itchy. So they found a male leopard in the north that is very relaxed. I'll try to get some pictures. But they don't seem to know who it is. So that's interesting. A relaxed male in the north. He is on the way south. So Andrew is hanging around sort of Buffelshoek boundary. So it'd be great if we could get him on camera. I don't know who. Could be, well, Rexon's been around for some time and he's never seen that leopard before. So might be a young male that's dispersed from somewhere. Or maybe Rexon doesn't recognize Hosana. Here we go, I just dropped it. I just broke the internet right there. Broke the internet. I think Hosana will be back soon, everybody. Watch out, Theo. Okay, so this is an area we've had Thandi in a lot. A lot of you are hoping to see Tingana. I would love to find Tingana for you. Don't know where he's gone to. No idea. Last time at the end of mine and Trisha's stint, he popped up. So maybe that'll be the case as well. I'm here until the 7th. I think Trisha's here until Friday. If anyone can find Tingana, it'll be Trish. Okay, so now these are leopard tracks underneath a hyena. Okay, these are coming in. Hyena following. Maybe. So Andrew mentioned tracks were going west, so these are probably the ones he saw. I wonder if those hyenas were following from earlier, because those hyena tracks are on top of the vehicle as well. Might be trying to track her down. We did hear those hyenas calling. Anyone can find a leopard. It is these animals with a very good nose. 2 mornings ago, Juma clan found Kalamba for us. See, the tracks don't carry up. So everyone's obviously concerned about Tingana, but I wouldn't be too concerned. I don't know. I think what's happened is last time he was seen, he was in fantastic condition. I think maybe he's just done with the territory, walking the territory all the time. This is the first rain we've had now in some time. There was male leopard tracks this morning that Andrew's trying to follow up on. So if he is still around, he will be reclaiming territory after the rainfall we've had. So we'll check the familiar haunts for him. I'll be out in the morning. I'll be putting a lot of effort into seeing he's been moving at night. And maybe the Duke of Juma will show himself. You'd like to see him, Theo, wouldn't you? So maybe, he's just done with the territorial side of things. He's just moving around and sort of keeping away from other males, having a little bit of a retirement sort of stage. Still in good condition, so that couldn't have led to him sort of moving out. So maybe he was tired of the new Milwaukee who's moved in. Very hard to say, everybody. And we can obviously assume lots of things, but without seeing him again. Maybe he's just on a little holiday, taking some time out. Okay. Holiday. Theo's nickname is Holiday because he likes to take it very easy.
Well, we're on a very good road now, and Bungay on the camera is saying that apart from trying to explain to you where and when I was stuck, he wants me to show you how I look like. And the first thing I want to show you is my elbow, and that's my elbow. And that is from digging the black, the loam, the black cotton soil there. And then apart from that, I think he insists I should stand up. And then after standing up, you're going to see my trousers, how they look like, because when it started, they were very clean. And telling me when I got too high, Bungay. Are you happy there? That's how I look like now, and I can tell you when I came out I was very smart and clean, and these pants were pressed very nicely by the laundry girls in the camp. It was looking good, and apparently I lost one shoe, and tomorrow morning I am going to go in that particular spot. I left it in the soil, in the mud there, because we had some elephants that just came through that area, and they dug a huge hole. And I think it could be the male that we saw. This is circumference of a huge foot of an elephant. It's pretty big. And you'd imagine if it goes in with its like 5 tons of weight, it just digs in. And I think I did the same. And my shoe went in. And the mud being very sticky, I didn't bother about it. So I am going back tomorrow morning and I'll get it. And the only challenge is when I'm saying that, Bungay is just laughing at me, which is not very fair. And today for dinner, we have chicken and beef. So I'll just make sure I'm going to eat his chicken and make sure he doesn't touch any chicken. He'll only eat beef. All right. Those are some of the experiences we go through when we're out here on safari. We get stuck sometimes for hours. Sometimes vehicles break down. Sometimes animals will block the way for us. But it's always great experience and good fun. That's very good. So tomorrow, have a date with us because they'll be going to the same spot and they'll tell you whether they'll get my shoe if the hyenas don't take it.
Oh, it's incredible, eh? Stalking, you know. Wish you could have this elephant to come and pull that car out of the mud, because it's also such a strong animal. After a little longer drive, we've been taking around here looking for a big game, you know. Eventually, you know, find this elephant, herd of elephants looks like it. And they're all, you know, enjoying their feeding here. As you can see, this young one as well. So the weather's been good for them, that they were not around for the whole entire day. I would say this morning we were looking for them as well, but they were not around. Looks like they were somewhere else. But good to have them again. Looks like this is going to be happening from time to time. Once there's not much wind and sun come out, hopefully. And they're going to be moving in and out of this area. You know, since it's going to be sooner getting dark, they will be doing the same. They won't stop feeding. And this is how they operate. And at night, these young ones, they will be in the middle of the group as they all stand up feed. If they ever sleep, it's fine. But Nick, yes, I think that's good hearing of you, you know, out there. I thought I heard, you know, pale spotted owl as well, you know, calling from the distance. But yeah, you know, it's, you know, they're probably excited as well since the weather's changing, you know, things like that. Look at this young. Turning around. So grass is kind of still softer. You know, a lot of time when I pull them, you know, it comes with a lot of soil because then the ground is soft, wet. So every now and then you might see a lot of that elephant, you know, trying to tumble. You know, the grass is using its trunk just to get rid of the sand. Riddle? That's a good question then. A lot of time elephants, especially when they get to the old age, they get so bigger in a way. They either sleep, you know, freeze, stand, and they find a nice shelter for that to do that. Some, they can lean against the mound, they lie down. Some, they can lie down anyway, but then it's not safe for their lungs when they do that. Remember, elephants, when they take that sleep, it doesn't last 2 hours, so, and 1 hour, it's enough for them, 45 minutes or so. Still enough for such a big elephant. Well, the young one, they can do whatever they want. They can roll over, lie, pretend they're dead, but then they're still alive. Those are the young ones that still have a lot of energy, but not the big one. So, for the old viewers, thank you very much for joining the Wild Earth Live. It's been very good of you wherever you are in the world. I hope you have a good night wherever you are, and so this is really cool of you, and so thank you very much. Bye bye.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.